Good morning, folks. Well, it's another beautiful morning in the bush. It's about -7 out, and there isn't even a hint of a breeze. Things are still. I can hear birds, woodpeckers, chickadees, crows, a raven, and of course I can hear the highway again, miles away. Even a train this morning, actually, which is a long ways from here. Well, today's agenda is a little different than what we've done in the past few weeks. All I'm going to do today is I'm going to cut a few deadfalls out, some trees that the tops have broken off, some other pieces that I just don't want to waste, and over here there's an old tree stand that my daughter and I built 25 plus years ago. It served us well. We shot some deer, had some wonderful father-daughter time. Now I'm going to tear it down because I can't use it anymore. The floorboards are rotten. It looks terrible. I'm just going to hook the winch cable on and give it a tug and pull it down. Here's a really good example of some old maple borer damage. You can see where the larva has tunneled in the sapwood here, up and around, and it kills that part of the tree, and of course the bark dies back, opens up this area to pathogens and microorganisms, and we end up with decay, rot, and as the tree gets weaker, we can imagine how much force is on that in a windstorm when the mast of that tree way up there is pushed by the wind, and it's like a really long pry bar. And this is the weakest part, and of course that's where it breaks off. And as I stand here and look up, actually, I can see some more maple borer damage, and I'll zoom into that for you and show you right there. And as we can see, this damage isn't quite as severe, and the tree's been almost successful in healing over it. You can see there's a new layer of bark over most of it. Not all of it, and unfortunately that would have been a weak area in the tree as well. And in this area there's a few little basswood. And here's one the top is broken off. There's that woodpecker again. And I'm going to see if I can salvage a bit of a saw log out of it. And if I can, great. And if not, that's okay. We'll just leave it to decay and add back to the biodiversity of the forest. Here's the base of that basswood. And it's too far decayed to even think of getting a saw log. But I'm going to leave it standing. As you can see, the woodpeckers have been at it. And I'm sure it'll provide a lot of woodpecker food for some time. Here's a maple with 3 obvious areas of maple borer damage. The first is down here at the butt. You can see where the bark has died back, and you can see the telltale tunneling where the larva tunneled in the sapwood. And then if we look further up the tree, there's that open area there. You can see where the bark has died back and the area is decayed, but a little further up, you can see where the decay was so severe that in a windstorm last summer the top blew off. I'm going to harvest this tree now. I'll knock down the standing portion, and then I'm going to see what I can salvage out of the top there. I always feel guilty starting up the saw and interrupting the crow and the woodpeckers. You notice I haven't got my helmet on, my cutting hat. That's because I left it back at the house this morning when I came out. She's completely hollow. That would be a nice little bit of firewood in there. Now I'm going to trim up that top and see what we can get. This butt log broke right where that maple borer damage was there, and there was the last piece. Hard to imagine, isn't it? A small insect can do so much damage. Oh well. And here's an example of a tree that should be harvested, but to me it has great value in the woods just the way it is. That hole that's in the foreground is a woodpecker nest. and I've seen several families of woodpeckers come and go over the years. So I'm going to leave it. I know one day it'll probably break off at that joint. But to me, the tree has great value in the forest because of the home it provides for the wildlife, for the woodpeckers. When I went over to the box that I take to the bush with me when I'm cutting, I dug a little deeper for a thermos of tea and a sandwich, and there was my cutting hat. So I did trim off the ends of this basswood, and although the butt didn't look too good, I came up about 8 feet, took a slice, and it was fine. And I took some slices off this end, and as you can see, it's fine. So I'm going to come and knock this loose, and then I'll hook up with a tractor, and we'll take home a little saw log. And here's another example of where the maple borer damage weakened the tree in the top in a windstorm. Couldn't take the strain and broke off. So the top is there. When I look at what's underneath the snow right here, I can see there's a rotten portion. So I'll cut off maybe 3 or 4 feet. And as long as I get into some decent firewood, then I'll pull that piece of the top out. And actually from here down, this is totally sound. So I'll cut this down and we'll take it home too. Timber! Okay, let's trim up this log here. We'll trim up the top. Here's another maple tree that had some maple borer damage. The top blew off. And over here, there's a basswood, and there's another maple further over. And if all goes well, they'll be the last 3 trees for today, and actually for this year. We've got more than enough firewood. I probably have enough firewood out this year for 2 years. Well, folks, it's been another wonderful day in the bush. And we've got enough firewood out now for at least 2 years. I've got a few saw logs, and I've had a great day. And I got to salvage these logs. Everything we cut today was already fallen down. The tops are broken off. So these 2 saw logs here, and I took out 1 other big basswood saw log, and some maple and some more maple. It's all salvaged from stuff that was laying down, and it had blown down in a big windstorm we had last summer. Well, I just got a phone call from a friend. He's about 15 minutes away. I don't see him very often. He's going to stop in for a coffee, so I better get this hitch out of here and head back to the house. When I pull out, I'm going to warn you, this isn't the biggest hitch I've ever had, and it's definitely not the prettiest because I'm pulling one of these pieces backwards. I'm pulling it by the top, and there's a crotch that might get caught up going out, but it was easier to take it out that way, and I'm going to do the least amount of damage to the forest. It was around some really nice trees. I didn't want to rub them bare. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again. Out of the House with Paul.